So, hello everybody, welcome back. So, I wanted to talk to you right now about food again. And, I'm sorry that this is taking so long for, giving out this information. It's just that food is one of those things that will make you or will break you. And sometimes it will do both. And anyway, I'm going to be talking to you about things that may make sense, but may not make sense because it's different. A perspective that it's kind of like a clash between your expectations, reality, and society's norm about it. So, anyway, before I continue, I wanted to remind you that down below is my email in case that you want to help me out by sending an Amazon gift card. I also have Gumroad accounts with my books. And now I have a PayPal account that I can actually work. Thanks to my friends, my friends that told me about this idea. And anyway, I will talk to you about the PayPal account and other payments and stuff like that in another video, because payments for the food and for the services and all of that, it's going to be a drama thing, just like the cash. So, payment is one of those things that is going to be weird to handle and to deal with, especially because it will require, patience and some sort of knowledge of cell phones and stuff, and it's not going to be easy, especially for elderly and sometimes even young people because they will be scammed easier. So anyway, so here is a topic about food. Now, you might not consider this, but a hell of a lot of people from other countries always want to go to the United States. Now, the reason for that is because in the United States, they have disposable things, as opposed to other countries, where you have to rely in space, cleaning, and a hell of a lot of work for, keeping up things and stuff like that they need to be reused to get the food. So let me explain this to you. You go to a supermarket and you want to grab beers, or maybe a Coke, for all I know, a Pepsi, or a 7-Up, or something like that. So right now, you just go to a supermarket, go and get it, right? Right. Except for the fact that in hard times, there is no plastics. Plastics and glass are materials that are so freaking expensive. They are expensive to make, they are expensive to get, and they need transportation. And not everybody will be able to get these things. This is one of the reasons why, from this moment forward, packaging of food will be done by probably paper bags or probably plastic bags, if the company that is making that thing can afford them. And at this point, you finding liquid, meaning beer and stuff like that, not happening. So what you do is you actually will have to pay for containers, and then you go home with the containers and you empty them, and then you return them. And if you do not return the same thing that is reusable and those things, then they're not selling you the liquids inside. So let me explain this to you. Have you ever seen, old movies or something where there is milk and they had these canisters that were made out of metal, and someone will come and pick up the metal thing with the container with the milk, and then they will give you the milk because you had the container. But if you didn't have the container, then you didn't get the milk. Yeah, kind of like that. So if you want to have beers, you need the empty containers of the glass thing. And it comes in a box that is a square box, and it's kind of heavy, and we call them vacíos, as in empties. Right now, that is the main thing that you can do to get liquids and stuff. So if you do not have that plastic containers or the recycle kind of container thing, then you are going to find that it's going to be very, very hard to buy these kind of things, because you can't have containers. Most companies will stop producing things because they cannot have access to the materials to make the containers. So right now, people will buy, the vacíos, as if the empty things, for the beers, for the Cokes, for the Pepsis, the 7-Up, whatever. And people will buy these things for other products. And in fact, if you're going to buy grain or like rice or beans or whatever, you know how they have these markets that are sometimes even in the movies. They have these big bags that are kind of like a brown cloth bag, and then they open it up, and then people will use a scoop, and then they will weight the thing in whatever container you provide. Well, kind of like that. So basically, people will have to buy or bring in their own container to get spices, grains, and stuff like that. Most places will do that. And if they don't do that, they will provide you with the plastic bag, but they will charge you more. They will be kind of like, did you bring your bag? Yes? Okay. Then you can take them. Did you not bring the bag? No? Okay, fine. Then you have to pay, 25 more cents. And in fact, at this point, people will be charging you for the melamine white trays that are disposable. And the wrapping, it's something that is also going to be expensive, and you're not going to be able to find it anymore. So people will charge you for it. And in fact, let's say that you bought bulk a piece of jam. So the piece is like 3 pounds of jam, and it looks like a triangle thing. And then you take it to the company, and then someone will charge you for slicing it and put it into trays and stuff like that, so that you can resell it, or so that you can store it. And that one will be cheaper for you, because finding the trays and finding the wrapping for the food is something that it's going to become very difficult. And so whatever you have for storing food, it's going to be kind of like a thing that will determine whether or not you will get that particular brand or that particular food again in the future. Because if the packaging is too expensive, then you are not going to be able to buy that food anymore. It's just the way it is. And what companies will do at this point is that, since they cannot compete with the cost of plastics and the cost of the materials to make these things work again or whatever, they will actually they will go back into their own product. So let's say that before they sold you sugar, and this sugar was as white as snow, and this sugar was very thin and very good, and it was it was very awesome. Now the same sugar, the same company, the same brand, the same packages right now is not going to be that white, and it's not going to be that thin. It's going to be a little bit thicker, and for all I know, they can be adding things to make it more flavorful, because now you need food to last longer, because people are not buying it as fast as they used to. The reason for that is because if you supply a supermarket with 45 things and they are all, $2 or $3 and people can't afford them, then they will take the main basic things, but they will not take whatever they consider not important in their foods. That includes, things like spices, mustards, mayo, ketchup, and all of those things. All of those things will be out of the window, meaning if you have them available, it will be for short time, and once they are gone from the shelf, they are not coming back. At least not for a minimum of between 3 months up to 3 years. And the reason for this is because if the supermarket notice that they take, let's say they brought 5 products, cheese, mayo, ketchup, coffee, and sugar. So the coffee and the sugar, people bought them, all of them, in day one. So these two, they are making money. You are making money out of that. But let's say that the other 3, let's say that one of them is taking 2 weeks to be sold. Yeah, that's very long. So people will prefer to buy, the supermarket manager will prefer to buy sugar and coffee, which will attract clients and stuff like that to their supermarket, rather than having something that it's just stuck there because people are not buying it because they don't prefer it. So if you need to, if you need to take, like a break in your food situation or whatever, you need to try to think about the things that you are not going to have 3 months from now, because that's where you want to focus. And the main reason for this is because the price that it has, let's say that there is a ketchup, and today it costs $1. So inflation is going up, or whatever. But this ketchup, since it is not being renewed and nobody's buying it, it will still be $1 in 2 weeks from now. Now, $1 is nothing if you compare it to hyperinflation and stuff. So you need to kind of learn how to play the timing of your shopping. Because if you play it right, then think about buying that ketchup for 10 cents if you wait 10 days. But it is a gamble, because the same dollar will be worth, 10 cents in 10 days. However, if you wait too long, other people will come with money and they will buy the ketchup, and then you will have nothing. Because the companies, like I said, do not have the capability of dealing with the packaging. So now all the packaging will be different. You won't find containers for baby formula. Oh, hell no, now baby formula is going to be sold, in plastic bags with a zipper maybe, and stuff like that. Before, they will sell you, the metal container and the stuff, and it will be nice or whatever. Hell no, now nothing like that. You will not see anything like that anymore, because containers are expensive. And this is going to create a problem, because if they can't make the containers, then the containers will be, plastic things, which will also be, like I said, expensive, because now you have 40 companies that are trying to buy the same plastics bags to sell the products, because they can't afford the glass, or they can't afford the plastic or whatever. So before, you had like maybe 3 or 4 companies that bought this zipper container bag, and now you have 40 companies that are trying to do the same because this one is cheaper. So this will make the container a problem situation. So most people will rather invest in buying the empty containers and then just kind of like recycle. So if you want to get the beer, you will have to get the empty containers, and then every time that you go to the liquor store, you have to leave the empty containers, and then you can grab the containers that are already filled. Kind of like the same deal with the milk. So does this make kind of sense? So this is going to be a situation that you might want to consider, because it's going to take a toll in your finances and in your organizational space. If before you bought beer and you can just throw it out, that's fine. But now you need the empty thing, and now you need the space for the new ones. And it's going to take a hell of a lot of organizational skills. And you also need more space that is clean. And it's kind of like that. So it's hard. And like I said, you will probably need to wash the containers a little bit before you return them. And this is going to be a problem with certain people that will rather go disposable, but disposable items are going to be so freaking expensive that you will probably have to have it imported because you are not producing that anymore. So these things are important to keep in mind, because food is not just food. Food is, number one, transportation, because like I said, transportation will be a major problem. Number two, packaging. If you can't package the food, then you need to give up something so that you can maintain cost. And at this point, most companies will just reduce the quality of the food per se in order for them to maintain the cost in packaging, because you just can't get over that kind of cost. Because how the hell are you going to produce food and sell it if you do not have packaging? Yeah, right. So the packaging thing is going to be non-negotiable. So, but the quality of the food might be negotiable. So you will see quality in food is going to be diminished a hell of a lot. In fact, we are having that right now with our main product, which is flour called pan, which is corn flour. Oh hell, that one, if you buy it from the US, it will be the same thing that we used to buy 2 years ago in my country. But if you buy it right now in my country, where that thing is supposed to be produced and everything, oh hell no, it's going to taste completely different. The arepa thing, our cornbread, is going to be completely different, and it's going to taste different. And they might add certain things to have it with more flavor or to make it last longer. Because, like I told you, now you were selling before in the supermarket, 20 packages of coffee per day. Now you're probably selling 10. See, even coffee is going to be like a thing, because, like I told you, is people will not have that much money. If people do not have much money, they will not be spending that much money in the food in the supermarket. If they don't spend that much money in the supermarket, supermarkets needs to come up with two things: a way to keep clients, which is very hard, because most people will rather go to a farmer's market or something like that when they can buy fresh fruits or vegetables for less money, and they will rather do this work by themselves. And then number two, you need to keep up with the space in the shelves, because quite frankly, at this point, you will see that 95% of the supermarkets will just empty half of their shelves. And now you have the supermarket, which is supposed to be, let's say that is this floor, and this floor. Yeah, now the supermarket will be only working this floor and this floor. So you have all of these thing completely empty, and it is closed down, and it even has barriers and stuff, and it's just a space that they are not using, because they don't have anything that they will be able to sell, because people do not have that kind of money. And also because payments. See, if you don't offer several payments for people, then people are not going to go to your place, because they don't have that access to the payments. So you might have money, but if it is in a form that the supermarket will not take it, then you can't have access to that food. So basically, the supermarkets now are dealing with problems from the clients, because the clients are being less, the clients are being more demanding and stuff like that. And also the clients do not have access to all the money in the form that the supermarket needs it, especially dealing with the suppliers. So all of this food topic is not as easy as it seems. Now, I'm going to tell you two perspectives on the food problem, and the list about the things that you might be doing wrong, and what why if you're prepping with a hell of a lot of food, you might end up being caught in a in a spider web kind of thing. And then you are going to probably fail all of the hard time process thing. Here is why. So you bought 1 year worth of your food. Okay, so 2 scenarios here. First, I'm going to talk to you about personal hard times by yourself. And then I'm going to talk to you with everyone else having the same problems as you. So let's say that you bought 1 year worth of food and you got fired. So you haven't been able to get a job or whatever, but you have plenty of enough food for your family for 1 year, so you are kind of okay about it. Okay? Okay, and then finally you got a break too, and now you have a job, and now you will be able to buy, again slowly, but you can replace all that food, so that is good. See? Your goal of preparing with the food was accomplished because you had a hard time by yourself. Now, let's say that is not you. You have to think about what is more likely, something happening to you alone or something happening to everyone. See, if you have this problem with absolutely everyone around you and you have 1 year worth of food, number one, you will be stressed out. Number two, you will have people coming over more often than ever. Number three, you're going to have to share and help other people because you are going to be human, and there is no way in hell that you're going to stay with all of the food right there in front of you while your mother is begging you for the food, or your kids are telling you that their best friends are dying because they don't have the freaking food. So hell no, you're sharing. So that food that you had right there that was supposed to last you 1 year because you were thinking about yourself, yeah, that food is going to last you 8 months tops. And I do mean tops. It's not going to last you more than that. Now, at this point, let's say that there was a collapse and now you cannot afford to buy food. So if you cannot afford to buy food, what in the world are you going to do to replenish that same stock that you have for 1 year? Are you going to be okay? Maybe. But is your family and everyone around you going to be okay, kind of a thing or whatever? Oh, hell no. And at this point, things are going to start changing in a way that it's going to make you go paranoid about it. And once you go paranoid about resources and stuff like that, then by year one, by end of year one, about 5 to 10% of the population will just not be able to handle this, and they will leave the freaking country or the state or whatever the hell you are in. They're leaving. Period. And at this point, if you are, in that 10%, you are probably going to have a hell of a lot of fights with your spouse and your family. Because now you're seeing that you can't afford food. And if you can't afford to buy food, then what the hell are you doing? So you're going to have a fight with your spouse because your spouse is going to probably want to leave. And you probably will want to stay. Or the other way around. If you belong to that 5 to 10%. Now, by year one, like I said, 8 months into this situation, you ran out of the food entirely. Now you need to do all kinds of financial juggling. Because at this point, you don't have any food. You have the same amount of money that you were receiving. Let's say that you were making $1,000. So you're making the same $1,000, but now your expenses, instead of being, you pay water and electricity and whatever, let's say that you pay, $400 for everything. So you had $600 for whatever, for your food and other things. Now you have the same $1,000, but if you buy food, and I do mean food alone, for the same amount of things that you were doing before, meaning, like I said, you are like 80% of people that you are not going to give up your food. You're not going to give up eating olives. You're not going to give up, going out to a bakery once in a while. You're not going to give up, taking a coffee with your friend. You're not going to give up these things that are, a part of your life. 80% of people will not give it up. I am included in that group, by the way. Because we do not know how the hell to deal with war management kind of food situation for a war situation food. Like I told you that my mother can. And at this point, because these food and these resources are very expensive, because like I told you, companies will have to spend more money in transportation, companies will have to spend more money in packaging, companies will have to spend more money on this and that and this and that, whatever. So point being that at this point, you have been, for the last 4 months, you have 1 year, 8 months, you were fine with the food. Now you have these 4 months for the whole year that you were supposed to have. Now you need to repay this food. You need to do it now. Let's say that you buy 1 year of food every January. Now you are not going to wait until January to replenish your food. You are going to have to do it now, 4 months before January, in August. This is an expense in August that you did not have to do before. So this is going to tip off your finances, and then you're going to end up after 1 year of this point in August. 1 year after that, 50% of people will go bankrupt. They will just go bankrupt entirely because you are not going to be able to keep up with the cars, the house payments, or the house expenses. Because, by the way, not just food is going to be more expensive, but also whatever services you used to have. And now you are competing. Do you buy food? Or do you go out to the movies? Do you buy food? Or do you pay for your kids' shoes? The decisions are going to become more and more and more difficult. At this point, 6 months after August, 6 months after this, you're not going to buy any kind of clothing anymore. Not for you, not for your kids. If you're thinking you're going to buy makeup or whatever, no, that's out of the window. Because the main problem will be your freaking food. And at this point, if you wanted to buy the same things that you were making before, so before, let's say that you bought, olives, you bought olive oil, you bought eggs and bread and mustard and things like that. Oh, hell no. 6 months later, all you will be able to afford is probably bread, eggs, and probably something else. And that's it. You will not be able to buy any kind of food of all the kinds because companies will make sure that the prices are kind of like the same with the inflation rate. Meaning, if the inflation rate is 20%, then you can expect 25% increase in the prices of the food because they need to keep up with the same prices for the suppliers and other things. So at this point, you were spending $400 in food before. In August, you started spending $600. So that is 50% more than you were doing before. And that is just August. If you were going to pay the whole year of food, and let's say that the whole year of food costed you, let's say $200 per month, so that's $1,200. Oh, hell no. Now, the whole year of food is going to cost you at least $2,000. And I'm not joking. If you do not have the $2,000, you will not be able to put up, with one more year. And even if you buy one more year, like I said, it's going to be a hell of a problem because it's not going to last you 1 year. It's going to last you 8 months. Whatever the hell you're thinking that is going to last you, 100%, is going to last you 2/3 of that. That is kind of like the average. I talk to my friends, I talk to everyone that I know of. And if you are like the 80% of people, kind of like me, that, oh hell. It's like me, like I have said before, if I go inside the kitchen, Oh, hell no, I'm eating all of the olives. I don't care. I'm cooking 2 eggs and I'm putting a hell of a lot of olives in it. And I'm putting the soy sauce and I'm putting, I'm making toast like I used to do it. And I don't care. But as soon as my mom goes in, she's going to be kind of like, why the hell did you take 4 olives for eating with the 2 eggs? And why the hell did you put, 4 slices of bread instead of 2? And why the hell did you use 2 eggs instead of 1? And why the hell did you use, butter and this herb and this one and that? Why the hell did you do that? And then I'm kind of like, I wanted to. Oh, hell no. Then she's going to be kind of like, you just screwed up the entire week's worth of, cooking. Because you wanted to do that. And so, like I said, it's going to make you or break you. Me, I'm not going to give up my freaking food. So my mom has to step in. Because, like I said, at this point, 6 months after August. Okay? So 6 months after August, meaning February. This month, February, you are going to be in hell. Because you're going to remember, last month, January last year, I had food for a whole year. And I had money to go out with friends. And I could buy this thing and I could do this. And now I cannot. And the kids are going to notice that you are stressing out. And when the kids notice, they are going to put more pressure on you. And you're going to put more pressure on your husband. And then your husband is going to put more pressure on himself and stuff like that. And things are going to start unraveling. And after 6 months of that particular point, yeah, family's over. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. 50% of people at this point will be separated, divorced, or whatever because of the food problem. Because you thought that, buying all this food for 1 year will save you. It's not going to save you. You see, you are focusing on getting a resource that is not renewable. What you needed was to focus on something renewable, like making more money or making something that you can actually trade later for other things, like a skill for plumbing or repairments or other things like mechanics and stuff like that. Because that way you can charge a little bit of money, you could be a technician and stuff like that. But the point is that you needed to focus your attention into actually creating systems that will support you. Because you see, you are always going to have expenses about water. You are always going to have expenses about electricity. You are always going to have expenses about Wi-Fi and stuff like that. You are always going to have expenses that have to do with getting something to be fun with. Because at this point, like I said, 50% of people will lose their minds and they will go crazy and they will ask for debt and they will start selling all of the things that they have in their house. By 2003, I can tell you right now, 2003 people, I could see that people started selling used things. And the breaking point was about 5 years later when I saw people selling used shoes. I mean, that's something that for me it was like, what? Why would you buy shoes that are used? Like really used, not like barely new. Barely new is something that, okay, you can buy these things for the kids because they are barely new, whatever. No, I'm talking about like shoes that are really like wear down, and people are selling you tires and they will tell you this tire has 70% life and it's used 35%, so you're going to pay me half because it is 70% life and stuff like that. And you're kind of like, what? I mean, come on, in 1999, if you wanted to, do a tire, you didn't even want to get the spare. You never care about the spare. You just went to the guy and said, change the freaking 4 tires and paid for it, and you didn't care. Oh, hell no. Now, Before, people didn't even bother, like I said, telling the mechanic, get me the spare parts that, the tires that I'm replacing, giving it back to me. Oh, hell no. People, you said, take it, do whatever the hell you want with that thing. Now? Oh, hell no. Now, if you want to change a tire, you don't change 4, you only change 1. And you change 1 at a time, and even then, you're going to be fighting with the freaking guy so that they can give you the spare part that you just took, and it's going to be insane. The same thing will happen with everything. Every kind of resources that you have is going to be fight over. It's going to be kind of like a fight over for that. Because now your priority is paying those bills, and your second priority is food. And the food, like I said, if you were a warrior like my mother, oh hell, that food is it's not going to be that big of a chunk of your money. Because you know how the hell to make, let's say that you buy 5 ingredients and you can make 10 meals. Oh hell no, if I have 5 ingredients, I will probably be able to make 1. Most people are going to be like me. Like I said, 80% of people will go crazy with the food because you do not know how the hell to use certain things. You do not know how the hell to cook for war and stuff. And if you don't have that, you will go bankrupt for certain within 2, tops, and I do mean tops, 2.5 years. Maybe 3. And that is if you can manage, somehow miraculously, to have a garden that will produce everything for you within 3 years. At this point, if you know that you're going to be fighting with food or whatever, you need a garden that will produce all the food that you need, and it will give you a break after the year number 3. But is it gardening for everybody? Oh hell, if my daughter had to do gardening, okay, I think we will starve. Because my daughter is afraid of insects. She is also allergic and stuff like that. So, no, she's not going to be doing it then. It's kind of like, it's just something that she's not. Now, can you try to make it? Oh, hell yes, you can. Because I'm not very good at gardening, but I'm trying. But the thing is that I'm willing to give it a shot. And I am okay with that. But there is a hell of a lot of people that will be kind of like, I'm not dealing with animals, I'm not dealing with insects, I'm not dealing with pesticides, I'm not dealing with this, and there's no way in hell that I'm trying to get water for the freaking garden and stuff like that, so hell no. So, it will depend upon your thinking. So, you need to figure out how the hell you are going to handle that. Now, am I telling you to do this or to do that or whatever? I'm just telling you that if you're preparing with a 1 year worth of food, you're going to go bankrupt in year number 3. For certain, with a 50-50 chance. Probably even before that. Why? Because like I said, you need to replenish that food. And that food has to come from somewhere. And that somewhere has to be from the freaking packaging. And the packaging is going to be a hell of a lot of a problem with the companies. That means that if you want to actually get food and stuff like that, you need a supplier that will actually get the freaking liquids or the freaking things inside the containers that you already have. And most people will not be able to afford the original containers. Because they will sell you the original containers. These things are being sold. The vacíos are being sold. If you want beer, you need to buy the vacíos. And after you buy the vacíos, you can get the freaking beer. It will be the same for milk, for, milk, cheese, meat, grains, and whatever. And then this is going to, be a nightmare for a lot of people that are, maniacs about sanitation. People will be kind of like, oh, I cannot believe that you bought that thing that doesn't even have a label on it. What the hell is that thing? Yeah, kind of like that. So if you're a maniac about packaging and food looking good and food handling being, with the proper refrigerator and stuff like that, oh, you are going to be in hell. And I suggest that I really suggest that you either try to leave that place or you come up with a way of dealing with this. Because you being a maniac, yeah, that doesn't work anymore. It's just not going to work. You're going to have to adapt or you're going to be like the other half of the people. Like I said, the other half of the people are not fighting with more depression, more anxiety. They are suiciding. They are now becoming criminals. They are turning into prostitution. They are turning into drugs. They are turning into oh hell, because they can't handle it. So half of the people can't handle this. And the way that they can't handle it is, oh yeah, I'm going, for prostitution, like I said, drugs, and it's going to go down, and even further down. And just when you think that it cannot get possibly worse, then there are shortages. And when shortages happen with the freaking food, yeah, it doesn't matter if you have all the food, all the money in the world, you're going to be screwed. So what do? You need to figure out the balance between the space that you have in your house, which, by the way, needs to be organized. Because if you do not organize the space in your house, then you're going to have to deal with rats, cockroaches, and a hell of a lot of other things that will want to get to the freaking food that you have. So you need to have it, you need to organize your house. You need to organize your space. You need to figure out with your partner. You can't do this alone, by the way. Because if you're thinking about something and your partner will rather leave than having to deal with this thing, yeah. And you need to take into consideration if you have kids. And for all I know, you will also want to, to consider the elderly, the people that you will be leaving behind, like your mother or your father or both. A lot of people will not be able to do that. And a lot of people will do that, which will create problems with elderly people that now will have to deal by themselves with with making the lines, trying to get the food, trying to pay with money that they don't have and stuff like that. And it's going to be a nightmare for them. And about 1/3 of the elderly will face these things alone, on top of dealing with their own things and diseases and stuff. So I don't know. So that's why I keep telling you that if you're going to buy food, it's not enough. You need a freaking plan. And you need to talk about these. If things start to get rough, now you know sort of like what can happen. So you need to make decisions. Are you going to deal with this with your partner? Yes or no? Are you going to stay? Are you going to leave? Yes or no? If it is yes, then you need a plan for leaving. You need to start working in documentation, because taking your documentation and stuff like that is not going to take you 1 week. It can take you months, especially if you're trying to get passports from other countries because you have double nationality or stuff like that. So you need to consider all of these when you're dealing with food. And if you want to stay and stuff like that, you might want to consider, which companies will sell you things in like the empty containers, and if they are recyclable and stuff like that, so that you already have these things set up in place so that you do not have to make that kind of investment in the beginning. And, it's important. Because like I said, food is just, it will make you or it will break you. And hopefully, this time, now that you have this information and all of that, hopefully it will make you. You might be able to reconsider, the way you cook, the way you handle resources, and all of these things, And you need to consider a backup plan if you're thinking that you're going to be able to buy 1 year's worth of food every January, because you used to do that. Yeah, now you're not. Especially you need a backup plan as in how you're going to deal with the people that are going to come to your door begging you for that food. And no, people will not start eating the pets or whatever in day 4. That will happen probably after this point, meaning after 3 years of people going desperate. Not in the beginning. Just so that you know. Because people are thinking, yeah, you're going to die and you're going to go and eat your pets and stuff. Oh, hell no. That doesn't happen at least until year 3. So Is it going to be bad? I don't know. It depends upon a hell of a lot of things, but mostly packaging and transportation. So anyway, I hope that this information is useful.